There comes a time in any channel like mine's life where you start to need to talk about the classics, and that's exactly what I'm doing today because I'm discussing 2010's A Serbian Film. And I feel like A Serbian Film came out at just the right time because in the late 2000s, early 2010s, our culture was kind of obsessed with extreme cinema. We had franchises like Saw, remakes of classics like I Spit on Your Grave, and of course, pop culture phenomenon, Human Centipede. That was a weird time to be alive. And then you had this little underground film from Serbia who came along and kind of just changed everything. All of the sudden, all the fun was gone. And it kind of signified the end of an era, because many of the mainstream audience who had been fascinated with the concept of Human Centipede and movies like Teeth saw this and thought to themselves, oh, that might be a little too much. And it still kind of carries that burden to this day because many bigger content creators will just dismiss this as being a poor execution in shock. And I'm sorry to say that to people watching who share that opinion, but you're clearly missing the point on this one. And this video won't be me just going through the film like I usually do, because let's be honest, if you're here, you know about A Serbian Film. This isn't your first A Serbian Film video that you've watched, so you know the story. But I'll quickly go through the plot. So we follow Miloš, a Serbian ex-porn star who's been retired for a couple of years. And he has settled down in life, he's married, he has a kid, and he has an alcohol problem. Truly, one of the fathers of all time. And the film starts with his kid finding one of his adult film and watching it. Then of course his wife is not happy about it, and he just tells her that, hey, I was that age when I watched my first porno, and she has a very good point of saying it wasn't a porno your father was starring in. So we quickly establish the family dynamics. They're not unhappy, but they have their issues. And one of those issues is they're running out of money. Miloš is early retired, and I don't think that porn stars have great pension plans. Even in Europe. Especially not Serbia. And that leads him to meet one of his old friends from the XXX era, and she tells him about a certain man who's willing to pay a lot for this new concept in pornography. You see, he wants to make artful pornography and sell it to an international audience, because everybody knows that international audiences love artistic pornography. Which is always a weird concept because we add an era of artistic pornography. Shout out 70s, shout out The Image. Where is it? Shout out The Image. One of my favorite adult films of all time. And, but you know, I guess they want to bring that vibe back. So Miloš accepts a meeting with that guy, and we can see that he's just a gangster who clearly has ideas that are not matching with Miloš's ideas. But he offers him a sum that is so ridiculous that Miloš can't really deny. Even his wife is like, yo, bud, accept. So he accepts. And what we see is kind of a nightmarish version of Alice in Wonderland, but with pornography, and the more he delves into it, the darker and more fucking vile it gets. So vile that you're probably already familiar with most of the scenes in this film from this part on. But what a lot of people dismiss is how much of a good job this film does at creating a world where all the events at the end of the film don't seem unrealistic or too much. Well, they're too much, but in a different kind of way. And what I feel about this film is the exact way I feel about Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, film that I've previously covered, and film that garnished a lot of attention on my channel, and a lot of comments just calling it debauchery for debauchery's sake, boring, blah blah blah. And you could clearly see that some of the people don't agree with me or are missing the point. Which is okay, if you just think A Serbian Film is the shocking pile of dog shit that was made to be shocking, it's a fair point, it's a fair criticism, and I felt that too the first time I saw it. But now that I've seen a lot more movies like this, especially Salo, I feel like this one is a misunderstood modern take on Salo. Just like Salo, it was made years after a conflict, this being the Bosnian War, Salo being World War II, a more notable, well-known war, but the Bosnian War had a lot of atrocities. Atrocities brought upon by the Serbs. The title of Serbian film kind of means something. Now, I won't pretend that I'm an expert in the Bosnian War or Serbia's involvement, but from what I've read, there was a lot of war crimes associated with the Serbian side. And to me, the way the characters talk in this film, they really like to criticize Serbia's government and its corruption. There is a scene where Miloš's wife reassures Miloš that she's not with him for his money, or else she would have been with his brother, that is a cop. Clearly a very corrupted cop, because we learn that he's kind of has some tied with the mafia and the people running this underground pornography scene. There's also Miloš, who's this puppet of this gangster, especially after he's been drugged and he's being forced to do the things he's doing, where you kind of get this relationship where Miloš might represent a soldier being told what to do by a sergeant, while also not agreeing with it, but not fighting it. So there is some remorse in there. Also, the fact that the gangster that is putting on this show is not from Serbia. He's a stranger coming in here maybe to take revenge on some atrocities from the Bosnian War. And one of the characters, the blonde who had the main kid in this weird, well, she was married to a war hero, a Serbian war hero, and she became a junkie. Maybe something about, coping with the atrocities of war. I might read too much into this. This is kind of the thing I usually do with these types of movies. So all of that to say that I'm not certain that this is what this film is about, and I won't pretend to be. To me, this is why this feels like so much more than just shock and exploitation for the sake of shock and exploitation. Clearly, there was some fuckery around in Serbia, and the director wasn't happy about everything going on in his country, just like how Pasolini wasn't happy with Italian fascism during World War II. And of course, you can't talk about a Serbian film without mentioning a certain scene involving a newborn, and the internet has kind of blown up that scene into something more. It's explicit in the sense that you see the baby being born, but that part where everybody talks about, you can't see really anything, and it's clearly not a real baby. Calm down, people. This was somewhat ethically shot. No, I'm just kidding. This was ethically shot. You can clearly see that any scene involving a child wasn't shot in the same room or in the same set as the scene involving the adult stuff. And this is from the early 2010s, when the internet was still at a very young level, and rumors spread around quickly, and it wasn't helped by the fact that for a while it was impossible to find this movie uncut. Now we have Unearthed Films to thank for releasing this film entirely uncut, and you can see that the rumors and hype from the early 2010s internet wasn't exactly based on facts. Yes, this movie is disgusting, vile, and will make you nauseous, especially that scene where, in the ending, where there are people that are covered in red masks. I won't spoil it, but goddamn, I almost had to throw up on that one, but it's not as bad as it was propagated to be. So, what did I think of a Serbian film? Well, on my first viewing, no, this wasn't my first viewing, I saw this although at a very young age and didn't really understand anything about it and dismissed it because that's what the internet told me to do. Now that I have a more mature eye and a eye that has seen more films, I can comfortably say that this is an amazing, incredible piece of cinema, especially of extreme cinema, because it's so well made and so realistic that you kind of feel disgusted after watching it. And when I saw this for the first time, I was also a 70s exploitation elitist, which I still am, but those movies were shot in a gritty, down and dirty way, and this film is super clean. It's like the reverse of a 70s exploitation film, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the look because this is clearly early digital. Well, early good digital, not like 2005 Sci-Fi Channel digital, but like early good digital. It looks way too clean. However, when it gets to the nitty gritty, it becomes a more gritty 70s-ish, grindhouse-ish film, which I definitely appreciate. The music is awesome, the acting is really great, it's well made, it's well directed. This is an easier one to show people than, let's say, August Underground, because this actually looks like a movie. So if you're getting into these types of films and you want already to go to the peak, just start with this one, and then maybe if you enjoy this one, go into the more underground, obscure, and well less made ones, like August Underground. But yeah, this is a classic for a reason, and honestly, in 20 years, it'll probably have the same reputation as something like Cannibal Holocaust. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.